You are listening to the Gritty Podcast, where we talk about all things gritty. Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm Brian Call. I've got Brad Hunt here with me. And today we're going to talk a little bit about elk season. It's coming up for us. And I have been applying for a certain unit for 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually drew it this year. Now, I didn't draw it with points. I drew it.
You got lucky.
I just got lucky, which is about time. I have been applying for like 24 years to hunt across the United States in various states for awesome units.
Mm-hmm.
And I never get any of them, ever. Every year it's like unsuccessful. And then I do the over-the-counter blue-collar hunts that we do. This year, though, I got one.
Yes, you did. And it's a good one. It is a good one.
So it's been cool. I got the hunt. At first, I was like, is this right, Brad? Is this, this says, it looks like it says I got the tag.
Yep.
All the other ones said unsuccessful. This doesn't say successful, but it doesn't say I didn't get it. It was really confusing. And so, then I had a little anxiety. I kept going back to the computer to check that it said I got it. And then it finally showed up in the mail and confirmed in a hard paper, physical evidence, that I did get it. So it's real, folks. I got the tag, and it's been cool. I know nothing about the area, really.
Yep.
And I've never been there before. And so we started scouting. I went down there the first time with my Uncle Kevin, and we got into the area and we hung. He owns High Point Outfitters. He's been a guide since I was a little kid. And so he took all his cameras that are no longer legal in Arizona.
Yep. Brought
them to me, and we hung a bunch of them up and started tracking, looking, seeing what's out there. And we started early. It was still early June, and started getting pictures.
Yeah.
Went back a few weeks later with my cousin Ben. He and I scoured the area, found more areas, hung more cameras. And then you and I went back and
pulled all the cameras.
Yep. Got all the information that we could get. The camera period was over, and we got a lot of bulls on camera.
We got a lot of like good intel, false intel.
Yeah.
but a lot of intel that's going to help you be successful on this hunt. And it gave us some good areas to be in.
Yeah.
And then
it's so interesting, because I think the biggest bull I've ever taken is under 330.
Yep.
That's the biggest bull I've taken. I've taken a couple of bulls, 320s. But these are just over the counter mountain bulls that are, that everyone's after. Archery. They're all archery.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of just average sub 300 type elk. And now I've got this tag in my pocket and I'm cruising around. I'm like, these are some big bulls. We got them on camera. We have the photos.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a few with my binos and spotter on the times we scouted. And it's just another caliber of bulls to choose from on this hunt, which is what you'd expect if you wait 20 years to draw a tag.
Right.
Hey, if you like our show and you want to support us, you can do that by shopping at Stealthy Hunter. Great partner of ours. They sell rifle covers, which we use on every single hunt. They sell glassing pads. They sell supplements. They got CBD gummies, other products over there. Check it out. Make sure you use the code GRITTY. And now, back to the show. So it's exciting. It's also got me feeling a lot more anxiety than I thought. Like, I feel as much stress as excitement. Just having the tag in my pocket is stressful. It's like I don't want to make a mistake. You get the one shot at it.
Yeah.
Yep. And so it's been fun. mostly all fun, but there is an element of I'll feel better, I think, once the hunt is kicked off. But I mean, I don't know, Brad. We have other tags too. So once this is over, we each have 2 elk tags this year.
Yes. Yep. We got
for 3 different states.
3 different states, 4 elk tags between the 2 of us, and this hunt could be is so different than the other hunts, because the other hunts are just
I spoke to my friend
over the counter.
We have a mutual friend, Jeff Helm.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke to him, and he said something like, "Yeah, everything you know about elk hunting and you traditionally leverage for all your other hunts, kind of throw out the window for this."
Yeah.
For this area. He had the tag a number of years ago, and so I've been talking to everybody I know that ever had this tag, and they all kind of say the same thing. It's almost like this hunt is 2 separate
hunts in one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got the first part, which the hunt kicks off mid-August.
Yeah.
And then it ends mid-September. And it's almost like the August period, you have your more like ambush, tree stand, blind.
They're in their home little space.
Yeah, you may not see much during the day. Yep. They're kind of quiet. They don't call as much. And then
the latter part becomes what elk hunters dream about.
Yeah, bulls screaming, fighting, chasing,
yep.
and it gets a little more traditional for what we're used to. So, my approach, and maybe people can find this useful for themselves, if you're hunting early, which is what this is,
mm-hmm.
I wanted the opportunity to go and figure it out on my own. I wanted to get some help. Like I would enlist a guide, and I'm not opposed to that. But most of the outfitters and guides and stuff, and I called a lot. They're like, I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And the reason wasn't because they weren't good. It's just, every time I was on the phone and we were talking about how it would work and what they got, and it just took away from the experience for me.
Yeah.
There's something about doing it by myself that got me excited versus putting my faith in someone else and kind of leaning on them and relying on them. It sort of was robbing me of some of the experience I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be pushed. I wanted to figure it out on my own. And this is an opportunity, because of what I do for a living,
yep.
that I could indulge in that more than the average Joe.
Right.
So I got 30 days, essentially. This hunt is something like 4 weeks long. I got 4 weeks. I could put the whole 4 weeks in. Who can do that?
Yeah.
Not just that. We put 11 days in, 12.
Something like that, yeah.
Down there so far.
Trail cam, scouting.
Who could do that?
Searching roads.
On all these weekends and stuff, these bomber trips down there.
Roads that are passable and not passable.
Yeah, the ones that won't roll your side-by-side off a cliff.
Oh.
That has been something that I get to, indulge in.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of the perks of the path I'm on. But so I don't know. I wanted to experience it, be pushed, kind of do it on my own.
Yeah, well, I think it's not a bad thing to have a guide or whatever, and if that's your thing, great. But for a hunt like this, you put all the years into drawing this tag. You finally drew the tag. There's something to be said about the meaning of it when you do it yourself. As you're talking all this, saying all this stuff, when you put in all that work, when you put in all the time,
it's different for everybody,
right?
I know myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'll kind of be like, well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Okay. What do you think is the right? Okay. And I'll end up deferring to the permanent resident expert, basically.
Yeah, right.
But Brad, over the years, I've found I'm the best student of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of know what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are.
Yep.
My gut is usually right for me, for my skill set. And I actually kill a lot more animals when I'm forced to do it alone.
Yeah.
When I don't have any support or some way to do it, I'll find a way. Whereas a lot of times I'll go on a hunt and I have too much help. I'll rely on everybody that's around me, and I'll dismiss my own instincts to go do it their way because that's why they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end,
I just don't
make the wrong choices.
Yep, and I don't think it is as fulfilling.
Well, that's a clear part of it too, because we talked about that this morning. Had a little discussion. I was saying, as we were looking at all these bulls, we have hundreds and hundreds of pictures, and we're going through this cheesy exercise of asking ourselves, well, which one's the biggest, and which one's the second biggest, and which one's or not really the biggest, which ones get you the most excited, which one's your favorite, and rank them in order. And then it's like, okay, now that we've ranked them in order, these are my favorites. It's like, well, which ones can I kill? Which ones are in, that we get a lot of pictures of that we see as patternable, and which ones are not patterned. And, that's a chess match.
Yeah.
It's a really cool chess match. It's fun first of all, it's just fun to see animals and bulls at this size. And every time you go pull a card, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting the camera card out, and I'm like, what's it going to be? What surprise thing are we going to see there? And there's bulls with, funky racks. There's bulls we're seeing that are just giant 5x5s. There's bulls that are like clean 6s, but just length and mass. I mean, there's clearly bulls in there that are just once in a lifetime bulls.
Yep.
And there's multiples.
Right.
So just that whole thing, and then seeing their behavior. Do they come back? Putting cameras in clusters to see kind of where they come, where they go, what their direction of travel is. What time of day are they there? Like, all of that stuff has been like that. I don't know. It's in your DNA, man. It's hunting on in a different way.
Yep.
And it's fun. It might be that we get out there and the entire scouting period, all the information we glean
could all just
turns out to be absolutely useless the day that opens.
It's so true.
And nothing that we thought would happen happened.
I'm not a whitetail guy. I'm not a elk hunter in this certain area. And we, over time, we found out real fast why people do name their animals, why they name spots, because it's the only way you can keep track of them and make sense of it all if you're describing it to somebody.
And if you're going to, I'm running it by all my buddies.
Yep.
I'm talking to, Anthony. I'm talking to Ben. I'm talking to my uncle. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to Lambert.
Yeah.
As we're kicking around opinions and ideas and trying to preseason scout this thing and game this thing.
Yeah. Making game plans.
You needed names.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
because when you're describing, the Goofy 6-point over here, he's in this spot, you're like,
it started to be too long to
talking about this one or that one.
Yeah.
Now when we got them named, it's just like, we know exactly where they are, who they are, and what bull you're talking about. So I get it, whitetail guys. I get it now why you do that.
But all the bulls, all this preseason scouting could just be like the old Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
It could be the best laid plans, period. We have some ideas. We have a strategy. There's certain bulls I'm targeting, and I'm hoping they play to my plans, and I arrow one of them. But I'm fully aware that they could just completely go, sideways, off the rails, and nothing could come out of it. I could sit in a spot for 10 days and see nothing, not even the bulls, not alone the bulls I'm after, but just no elk at all.
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping that's not the case, but I'm prepared if it turns out that way. I won't regret it though, because this period of sort of tracking, seeing bulls grow and they're kind of this big in June and then see them blow up later.
Yeah.
This whole thing has just been, I don't know. It's like animal watching on steroids. It's just been fun, really fun. And now the one thing that won't change is roads, camping spots, routes, wind direction, all of that stuff. My knowledge of the terrain, knowledge of the unit, the city, where to get gas, like where the grocery, like it sounds funny, but all of that stuff I dialed in.
Well, and knowing all that stuff and knowing the routes and just everything you talked about, it makes the hunt much more efficient. And you actually get more time in hunting than trying to come up with a plan B, C, and D.
I know the road systems now, and there are roads I will never take again, and I should never, there are some close calls, and I'm glad that's over. But I learned a lot from that. That knowledge doesn't go away.
No.
But here's the deal, and I said this to you this morning. This whole thing of us scouting, figuring out the bulls, where they're at, direction of travel, that right there is a part of hunting. We could go out and just listen for a bugle. We could go out on day one, having not scouted anything, and just start wandering around, calling, trying to find. And if some giant bull just walked in, or we stumbled on him in a meadow, and then we got on him and I arrowed him, that would be cool. And be like, okay, we got into a great unit. We stumbled into some bulls. We tightened the noose day over day a little bit over a week or so, and we got this big bull. That would feel good. But I got to be honest, there's something about knowing about all these bulls that we did, that we gained this knowledge about their behavior, where they're going, what caliber bulls we're dealing with, where they're at, that we've gleaned over the last couple of months. That is super rewarding. That if I kill one of these bulls on our target list, I don't know, man, I almost would rather take a bull that I chess matched against and beat. Like, I figured him out, I got in position, and I killed him. There's something about that that feels so much,
so rewarding.
That interests me so much more than just wandering about and then, doing it in the moment. It's not like there's not skill involved. You spot a bull, you spend 2 or 3 days trying to get in, you sneak out, you sneak in. There's that. We've done that a lot, though. That's kind of how most of our hunts work. There's something right now about knowing all these bulls, narrowing it down, going, I think if I'm right here on this day, I'm here 7 days in a row, I think I might kill this bull. And if I do, and I get the bull, the big old giant that I'm after, there's something rewarding about that.
Absolutely. I remember the feeling on my first buck that was like a big caliber buck, close to 200-inch buck. Saw him way before the archery season. Watched him. Got in on him and screwed it up with the bow and never found that buck again. And then the second to last day of the rifle season, there he is.
Yeah.
Shot him. It was like, dude, like, I remember every little detail about that hunt, where I screwed up, where I capitalized. And it's by far, and I think too was with my dad, but it's like the most rewarding hunt I've ever been on.
Yeah.
There's something about that, just having a history with them.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. Like, there's have some good opportunity that I hope all our plans that we have in our head and have laid out and all the scouting, I hope it works out. But it could all.
Dude, how cool. How cool would it be, though, if it works out?
Yeah.
Like, per our estimations, like, we found the bull. We're looking at weather patterns. We're looking at behavior.
Yeah.
How, just all these factors that go into it to say, this is the plan. You execute the plan and you get the bull.
I mean, our plan is going to be the plan that works. Like, it has to, right?
Yeah. No, not at all. These all can just do a whole dang. Like,
we are not wrong in where we set stuff up and why we set it up.
Here's the thing, too, is there are bulls that I'm in love with in multiple locations. So now I got to decide which one am I going to target. And some of them, it seems like sixes to me. It could go either way, both in terms of the bull I want to actually take. I'm good with either one. And also, they're both showing up on a fairly regular basis. So then it becomes this thing where, wow, which decision? You have to make one. You cannot pick both.
Right.
You have to pick one and like stick to it. It's like, which one do you pick?
You might as well just take a quarter and flip it, A and B. No, because, I mean, again, it's all could be a crapshoot, and we don't know. But
what the haunting thing, though, is what if you choose this one But the other one was the one you should have
But
chose.
here's the thing. You'll never know. Because guess what? Game cams and stuff are not allowed anymore during the season. So you'll never know.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
I think
still, that's the haunting thing, right? Is you're trying to make that decision.
Oh, I don't even have the tag, and I'm like stressing about, are we making the right decision? We should go to the right spot. But no, there's having the days obviously helps.
Mm-hmm.
And having the intel that we have done, the intel we've got from some other folks. I mean, it all is a big part of it, and it's going to help out a lot.
One of the biggest benefits of having spent the time, though, doing this is I haven't really had the opportunity to hunt in units with bulls like this.
Yeah.
My Uncle Kevin's guided on, hunts like this for years. He kind of looks at a bull and goes, yeah, that's about this and that's about that. And you can expect this size animal in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Having spent a couple of months looking at all these pictures and narrowing it down to like the top 5 that are sort of, in my mind, clearly above the rest.
Yeah.
Now I have in my head, and after analyzing picture, like every night I go to bed, I'm scrolling through them all and I'm looking at them all. And it's like, okay, I have a pretty good idea now of what I'm looking at.
Yep.
I did not have that 2 months ago.
Right.
Now I'm out going, okay, if I see something like X walk out in a meadow, I can decide, oh yeah, that's not what I'm looking for.
Yep.
And I got that feel now. And in some of these areas, I'd like to think that after seeing, 100 bulls on this slope, that I got to see most of what's there. And so I know of the 2 or 3 that I'm really interested in, and I know which ones I'm not. Now, if I hunt the whole season, though, being selective, and then I kill just a nice 6x6 or something at the end of the season, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
You only get to do a hunt like this once in a lifetime, generally.
Right.
And so I would rather roll the dice on trying to get something special, definitely.
And again, you can't take the giant if you early on take something else, and the experience that comes with it. It's not just about the bull you kill.
Well, I have the luxury of time, so
Correct.
I can stick it out and go longer. And why cut it short if you can?
Right.
You want to experience the full length of a hunt. There's many times I've been on a decent hunt, a pretty nice hunt that took me 4 or 5 years to draw, and either screwed up or passed on something the first few days. And they ended up being a long grind of 12, 14 days before I finally got tagged out.
Yep.
And I look back and think to myself, well, if I had shot something on that 3rd day, that one that came out, that was actually, a little bit bigger than the one I ended up with.
Yep.
I would have missed out, though, on that 12 or 14 days of just rabid, rut action that I've yet to see again.
I've never made that choice. I hate the saying, don't pass on something the first day, shoot on last. I hate that saying, because to me, each hunt, there's so much more meaning to it. Yeah, that's my goal, is to get that animal, but the experience I gain, the knowledge I gain, the guys I'm with, there's a whole lot more to it than just the animal I'm taking. Yeah, that's my goal, is to take, the oldest, the biggest animal that's out there, or whatever, but there's so much more that comes with it. And those are things that I never forget, on those hunts.
Yeah.
And the experiences down the road that I get during that hunt.
Hey, if you like our show and you want to support us, you can head over to Canvas Cutter. They sell these awesome bed rolls that we've been using for years. You can just throw these suckers out on the ground, camp in them. You see I got my sleeping bag inside. Can't recommend them enough. They also have duffel bags, some of the best you've seen canvas duffel bags. They've got beanbag chairs as well. They call them the dirt bag. They got wall tents. Head on over there. Use the code GRITTY. Check it out. Cannot recommend the bedrolls enough. Let's get back to the show. Yeah, there are gentlemen out there, friends of ours, people with a lot of experience targeting bulls early in August like this, and we've had conversations with them and hope to have some more. Yeah, but this time of year is a little different, and I really have no experience with it. Normally, we are not hunting bulls until September.
Yeah,
I got like 2 weeks of time prior to that. It's going to be really interesting to see, what it's like. Could be really slow. But hey, man, think about this. There are 5 studs and then like 5 to 10 like runner ups.
Oh man.
And that's a lot of high caliber animals running around. It could be a great hunt.
Yeah. I'm so curious, like how our choices, the choices we make, how they decide the hunt, and the bulls, like, I don't know. I mean, It's an exciting time. It really is.
Our game plan is going to completely change, though. When September hits, it's going to be more traditional. We're going to start hunting a different way. If I haven't found the bull I wanted, haven't got him down yet.
One thing about it is like you have some open spots, but man, that country's thick. It is super thick. So, I mean, different tactics or different tools are going to be what you have to use to find these bulls. It'll be cool. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome.
What have you learned? If you were going to give someone some advice about, this scouting, for elk, and this is specifically elk, what have you learned?
What's different from the area? And I would say maybe not necessarily as much towards the elk and the animal itself, but from the area, talking to different guys, I wouldn't have really thought these elk would be where they are during hot times and where they are during the cool times, because as we talk to guys like Ryan Carter or others that have had experiences in places like this, I would never have thought that those bulls would go on top after they shed to stay cool, because of the wind blowing on their head and stuff like that, keeping them cool in the timber. I mean, I don't know. Just the area itself, it's different than what I'm used to hunting.
Yeah, I would say, like, putting aside what I learned so far, I think it might be beneficial for those that are listening to tell you what I did and what I would do differently or the same. So my steps for this were to, once I knew I had the tag, was to talk to as many people as I could that had the tag.
Yeah.
Okay. And so tags like this are fairly, you get them once. So people are really open about sharing their information because, I'll never get this tag again.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm going to hoard the information I gained from this hunt. I can't use it.
Yeah.
Maybe a friend of mine has the
Might
tag.
as well bring the joy to somebody else.
Yeah. So most people who've had the tag have a fond memory of the hunt and also some experience that they can share with you and bring to the table. So I talked to as many people as I could who had the tag.
Yep.
Okay. Then I spoke to as many friends of mine and people I knew that that had any connection with the unit, whether they were a guide and they were willing to share information, whether they were a friend of a friend, So I tried to find people who were kind of very familiar with the area and pick their brain.
Yep.
Then I went down to the area. Well, first, nope, that's not what I did. Then I talked to Mark Livesey and I did e-scouting on the unit.
Yep.
So I took all the information I got from various people and I spent days on my computer, Google Earth, OnX, Go Hunt, like all the map systems. And I was tinkering around and I was putting waypoints in. And I kind of got it loaded up based on where I thought there would be, where elk like to go based on benches and slopes, water, time of year, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And then once I had all that dialed in, I kicked it over to Mark Livesey. And I said, hey, can you put together an e-scouting package for me based on this? And we talked on the phone for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And then he went and did his magic. And then he sent back to me a whole package of waypoints and markers and circles and lines and maps and routes and stuff. And he sent it to me, and I opened that package, and my map system was populated with all the data, and it was just like rainbow colored, and it had all these places I needed to check out. Once I had that e-scouting thing dialed in, now I knew I needed to put feed in the unit. So I went down there with my uncle, and we hit all the areas that we thought elk might be hitting, from wallows to feeding areas to benches to bedding areas. And we walked them, glassed them.
Yep.
We hung cameras on the areas that had the best sign. So there are some spots where it's like, oh yeah, elk are in here thick. You can just see the tracks. This is a spot, a wallow. We'd put salt down. And knowing that when they're in velvet like that, they really are craving a lot of salt, and hung those cameras. And then we spoke to a few people face to face that have spent a lot of time on the ground in the unit.
Mm-hmm.
Went home, and then we spent some time basically just getting ready, shooting bow, getting things dialed in, prepping, and letting those cameras
let the cameras soak.
So they were in there for about 3 weeks, and I shot back in there with my cousin Ben, because as I did more e-scouting when I got home, I had areas I wanted to hit but wasn't able to the first time.
Yeah.
And I had other areas I wanted to put cameras that I wasn't able to put cameras before. So I shot back in there, and I got into some other areas I had intel on, and I hung cameras up and down a certain drainage in a couple of places. And then I got up early a couple of times and late at night, and I glassed in some of those pockets that I could see through the shed finding.
Yep.
Tools and stuff that Livesey had set up, where he can pick a spot on a ridge, and he can figure out with that tool,
Yeah.
whether or not the area is, how glassable it is.
Yeah. You can shade it and everything. So you sit there and you actually put it up like a 6-foot level. So it's basically a standing level.
Go Hunt has it too.
Yep. And it'll shade all the stuff that you can see from that view.
Yeah.
And then
you can pick.
You can change the spot, move it up, down, and you only might move it 15 feet, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got a whole view of this whole thing.
Exactly.
So
we ran that tool a bunch, and we found like 7 key glassing places, which would give us optimal visibility. So I wanted to get down for that. So I did. I got down there. I perched up in those spots. About half of them, I was like, no, it's not as good as you thought. You can see, but it's got fields full of cattle, so that's not going to work. And I was able to rule out certain glassing areas. And then I saw some giant bulls from certain knobs. Now I marked those and go, okay, there's bulls down there. Then I drove over there, and then walked the rest into the mountain where I saw these bulls. You could figure out the road system up to as close as you can get, which is great and useful. Get in there, hung a couple cameras over there, because I knew there's bulls in there.
Yep.
Well, now I left more cameras to soak, covered more country, solidified more information, got more roads figured out, then came home and continued to try to guess direction of travel, where these bulls are bedding, this is where I got them on camera, analyzed all my camera, my photos, asked around. A big part of what I did after that was just, hey, because I pulled the cards after that 3-week visit, and I was able to go, okay, I got 3 weeks of data here, and then try to get some help on judging bulls. Yep. What am I dealing with? How big are they? Trying to track now, are they coming back? I moved some cameras because there was no activity at all where those cameras were.
Mm-hmm.
Let them soak another 3 weeks. And then we went back in and pulled the cameras for the final time, got all the cards off of there.
Yep.
And got a very, very solid idea of what we're dealing with. Full inventory of all the elk we got on cameras. Full inventory of all the elk we saw with our naked eye that we were spotting.
Mm-hmm.
Full inventory of the road system. Full inventory of where all the water holes are, which ones dried up, which ones stayed wet, that kind of thing, where we think the bedding areas are. Again, continuing to fill out the map system in all the holes and trying to guess which, clearly when you look at the photos of the bulls, I know which ones I'm the most interested in.
Yeah.
It's like this one, like 5, 6 of them. It's like, wow, which one is my absolute favorite? There's a couple, but I'd be an idiot to pass on some of the other ones.
Right.
Right. Like you're just doing the math. You're just doing your self-assessment. Which bull gets me excited? What would I love to pursue?
Yeah.
After that, it's been a challenge because I know which bulls I like. That doesn't mean I can kill them.
Yeah. So then it's like, okay, do I hunt the bull that I want, or do I hunt the spot?
Or a combination thereof.
Yeah. And it's like the spot that's going to give me the most chances at getting one of these big bulls. And we've, I think, according to our plan that is not going to go awry.
Yeah.
We think we have a pretty good plan.
Well, if you think about, okay, let's look at it from 2 perspectives. Okay. Thinking out loud. First of all, you need an area that's huntable.
Yeah.
Meaning, right, that you need to be able to get in and out of your ambush site effectively.
Yes.
Or you need to have a huntable spot. Maybe it's a tree stand, maybe it's a blind, maybe it's on foot just in the bushes. Maybe you've built a handmade blind. Either way, you need to be able to get into that spot where you're going to strike.
Yep.
Maybe you're going to get in close, wait to hear them, see them, and then finish the stalk, the last 200 yards. But you need the setup.
Yep.
It needs to be repeatable. You need to be able to get in without being detected and get out without being detected.
Yep. At certain times too. That's what we've been trying to really dial in, is what times the wind changes and the directions it's blowing. How can we get in? How can we get out? All, again, being undetected. And so, there might be a couple spots that, you can sit there all day and be good to go. Not going to blow elk out. And there's other spots you got to be out by 8 o'clock in the morning. You get an hour maybe in the morning and an hour at night, and that's what you're hunting in that spot.
Well, and the area that you're in, the bull needs to be there.
Right.
That's the other thing.
Yep.
The animal needs to be a pinch point or some sort of feeding spot or something narrow enough and niche enough that it's actually that your odds of getting the animal is pretty high because it's just a high traffic spot. And that's a big part of that.
Right.
Right. And so I don't know. I looked at it from the perspective of its huntability, like getting in, getting out. Will the animal be there? It's common sense.
Yeah. We think we have the spot dialed.
Well, you're also looking for a bull. And this is what Carter had said a couple years ago in a podcast I did with him, Ryan Carter.
Yep.
He had said, these bulls have personalities. A lot of times these bulls too, and he's had hundreds and hundreds of cameras up in some of these units. He's heading down, I think, to Arizona this week to go hunt with Jimmy Johns or something like that. And so, you're looking for a bull, and they tend to come. They tend to have a route pattern.
Yep.
Where they travel. Some travel really far, big routes. Some travel little routes. Some don't travel far at all. And what you're looking for when he's running cameras, for example, is how many days, are they out there before they come back around again? So they'll be in an area for 2, 3, 4 days, maybe 2 days, then they'll leave. But he comes back every 7 to 10 days.
Right.
Like clockwork. Until the rut kicks in, they shed their velvet, the rut kicks in September, and it's like, okay, now everything changes up. So, you're looking for evidence that a bull returns to this spot. Not that you got pictures of him once there.
Yeah.
But that you got him there, and then 10 or 15 days later, he's there again. And 7 days, whatever, he's there again. And the more he can come back, the better.
Yeah.
But that's what you're looking for.
Exactly. And that's why, yeah, I think starting off, like, the bull has to be there, but then that's why I talk about picking the spot, because all these factors play
that's
into
what I was going
it.
to say is you might have a bull that comes back over and over and over again. But to get to where you know he comes, maybe the wind swirls like crazy, or maybe he can see you approach to that spot. It starts to be a little trickier. I would say that the best thing is a target bull that is very highly patterned.
Yeah.
That's your best chance, right? Like, you know him backwards and forward. You could figure out how to kill him.
Yep.
You just have to pay attention to wind and setup and all that. That's to say, like, there are some areas though that are definitely more where you have a much better kill.
Man, like, there's certain areas that, especially if it's open and I can do a lot of spot and stalking and still visually see the animal. Like, I love those areas when it's like that.
Yeah.
And the animals travel 4, 5, 6, 7 miles from feeding to bedding.
Yeah.
And I love that because it gives me so many opportunities to just ambush those animals. And there's other times, like, the elk don't go 500 yards from their feeding to bedding. Like, it just depends, depends on the area. But
so I feel like the two of our target bulls, 2 to 3, actually, let's say there's 5 targets.
Yep.
Key targets. Of those 5, 2 are completely we got one picture randomly at one time, never seen them again.
Yep.
And they're the 2 biggest.
And they're absolute giants. Yep.
Then we have 2 other bulls that are pretty comparable, that are studs.
Yep.
Absolute cool bulls. Those 2 bulls, we just don't know. We just don't. We have some idea of their patterns.
Yeah.
And gosh, I think either of those bulls are repeating their behavior enough that it's likely that they're returning to the area, every 10 days at a minimum.
Yep.
Maybe better.
Hopefully that pattern continues during the first part of the hunt.
So we have 2 bulls, and then one of them is in a pretty good kill spot.
Yeah.
That's better than the other. I honestly feel like one of them has a much better, you could sneak in, sneak out, wind direction's consistent, reliable, and he's highly patterned.
Yeah.
The other bull is pretty well patterned, but a really tough spot with the wind, with the entrance into the area not getting busted, getting out, like all of that stuff's a little bit harder with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm leaning toward, the one where I feel like there's a pattern.
The odds are more favorable on the terrain stock.
He's in a kill box. It's a confined little spot. And not only, the one thing about this bull is that I love, he's a stud, but he seems to be, I don't really know. I only know what I know from a few days. I had the camera 3 weeks. Yep. It was a second spot, which is so ironic too. I almost didn't hang cameras up and down that drainage. I didn't have time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you got 3 weeks. You got to get some data. You got to get some more intel. You got to try it. You got to exhaust all options. So I went and did it, and it was rough, and it was no sleep for 2 days. Got it in there.
Yeah.
He might be the bull I kill.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that, and I wouldn't have a clue what's there. I'd just be in the blind, in the dark without that.
Yeah.
So, and what I learned though, it's such a short duration, 3 weeks. He was in there for 1 week. And then tons of cattle came in and they camped there, like hundreds of cows laying in front of the camera.
Yep.
And we haven't seen him since. But I think he spent 7 days in a row there, and he was there in the morning, afternoon, evening, 2 a.m., 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, he was there constantly all day, all the time.
Yep. They were bedding within a few hundred yards of where they were coming in every single day.
So to me, if the cattle didn't move in, it seemed like they were fairly permanent right there, that their behavior indicates that they like to camp out there for a while, that they're comfortable there, that they have everything that they need, that they like it. The other thing that's interesting is where I find big bulls on camera, the little bulls tend to steer clear.
Yep.
And then where I find tons and tons of average and little bulls, I don't find big bulls.
Yep. Not at all.
So the fact that he's in there chasing off other bulls close to his caliber, but he's clearly the beast in the area.
Yeah.
Lip curling, hissing, like, lots of video of him like in front of the camera getting pictures. I feel like what I'm dealing with there is a pretty, we're dealing with a bull's bedroom.
Yeah.
Like,
it's his living quarters.
Yeah.
For sure.
So the odds of him, he's so comfortable and he was so stuck there that I just think that's a permanent part of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he'll be back sometime in that
those
first couple of weeks of the season.
Yep.
I think when the cows kind of have moved out when we went in there this last scouting trip, it looks like the cows have left. It looks like that area is ready. For all we know, the elk are living in there now.
Yeah. We just,
of course, can't see them.
Can't see them because of the cam.
It's
situation.
So thick. We don't have any game cameras up anymore. So you can't tell what's going on in there. But the area is so thick with vegetation, with just these little tiny, like 100 by 100 yard meadows.
Yep.
And you cannot glass them. You can't. You can get on the ground and you can like go from meadow to meadow and goes through the woods and peek into the next one and into the next one.
Yep.
But this area is so timbered and sheltered. And what's interesting is when we're out in those areas, one of my other bulls my favorite bulls is in this area where it's got very little cover.
Yeah.
It's a lot of open area. And the bulls have a blonde sort of sun hit look to them.
Yeah.
And then this other bull is like a Roosevelt, like dark fur,
antlers.
dark antlers, dark neck, just dark. Like he spends all his time in dark spaces, which is what this area looks like. So I don't know, man. I'm fascinated. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. We debate this like the whole ride home.
Oh man.
There is a bull I desperately want to go after. That's not this one.
Yeah.
I'd like to think as he's come back every 9 to 10 days, 12 days, that he'd come back through again.
Yeah. But it's not as easy to get in and out of.
It's not. And the hotter it gets and the closer it gets, because it's been very stormy and wet.
Yeah.
In the area, the last few weeks, last 2 weeks.
Yep.
This monsoon season is here, and so it's been getting a lot of rain and moisture from the sky, and so it's not that hot.
Yeah,
it's really cool. And the area where the kill box area, I think, is more huntable with the dark antler bull.
Mm-hmm.
I got a feeling that that area is a favorite spot to go when the temperatures get uncomfortable.
Yeah,
because it's so cool. The water gives off so much coolness up the canyon. There's just a lot going on there that is great for hot weather. And so I think we'll check the weather and see what's going on as we get closer to opening day.
Kind of help determine.
I think what would help me out a lot is if we could have some 80, 90 degree days, make it a little bit uncomfortable. I think those bulls will move down into that dark timbered area with the water and the moisture. And that is where I'll have my best chance of killing. If it's cool and there's water everywhere, there's less drive to pop down into that bottom.
Yeah.
And the week that they were there, thick as thieves, it was like 90 degrees.
Hot. No rain yet, but there was the moisture and the water and the grass down in those cool areas, and that's where they were. They were camped on that thing.
But again, if it's a bedroom for an elk,
Mm-hmm.
he's comfortable there. It's just his space. I think he'll circle back to it.
Yeah, I do too.
Especially even if he sheds a little bit. My hope is, he still sort of wanders off, looks for some cows, comes back this direction, looks for some cows. It is a transitional area. Elk who want to get from one part of the mountain system to the other part of the mountain system, this is the saddle they're going to cross through.
Yep.
And it just has that transitional feel to it. The only thing that's a real problem is the cattle, I think.
Yeah.
But the cattle weren't there.
No, not on this last trip. They were few and far between compared to what they were 3 weeks ago. I mean, 3 weeks ago, they were in there heavy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been kind of fun, even though, like I said, it's not my tag. Like, really picking apart the area and picking apart bulls. And, I mean, I've never hunted an area myself like this where you know, a normal 330, 350 bull, which anybody'd always be excited about. We're like,
he's not big enough.
Not big enough. Not the caliber of bull we're looking for in this area. And again, every area changes, but
not when I have a month.
Correct.
And
the amount of time we've put in scouting it, throwing the cameras up, just e-scouting. Yeah, to shoot a bull like that, like it wouldn't be a disappointment, but man, just putting in the days and the caliber of bulls that are there, like
it just goes back to how bad do you want that bull versus the tag in your pocket still?
Yeah.
Because there's an experience. When the tag is still in your pocket, there's an experience you're having.
Exactly.
As soon as you kill, the tag gets punched, it's over.
It's over.
So when you kill, you're giving up the rest of that experience. And so to me, there's an equilibrium. There's like this stage at which the scales tip and it goes, okay, I would rather shoot this bull and be done than not shoot this bull and still have a chance to tool around and hunt.
And for both of us, like we have our list of 5 bulls. It's the same 5 bulls, but we order them differently. And I think
my order is better than yours.
Yeah, you're the one with the tag, so probably. But
no, that's interesting, right?
It's like
same with all my buddies.
Yeah, and if you take that scale on the big bull versus this other bull coming in, that scale changes because the characteristics. Like sometimes, you look at a giant bull that has maybe a 400 class bull, and you got a 380 class bull over here, but he has all this character. It's like sometimes, even though this bull's bigger, the scale is weighed down much more on the character bull, and that's what excites you the most. And so I think it all comes down to that, on just what excites you. And, you can listen to what I say and what Anthony says and Ben.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the only thing that matters is what you think and what you want to do, because it's your tag.
Yeah.
What bulls get you excited are different than the bulls that get me excited. But at the same time, again, you can't listen. Don't let me ever or anybody else persuade you into doing something else, because it's your experience, your tag. And this is something you'll never do in a lifetime.
Oh yeah. Everybody's taste is different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I've got I got what I feel is,
I feel like more people agree with me on some bulls now.
I mean, it's honestly,
dude, it's
any bull in the top 5 is a bull I will shoot.
Yep.
No question.
Yep.
And I have a lot of anxiety about not shooting the bull of the next top 5 because they're so good.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's the best idea to not shoot those.
Right.
But I think, like we said earlier, part of making the most of it is making the decision now.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do. People will be like, well, you'll just know when it comes in. And there's some truth to that. And I'm not discounting that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know this, like, if you don't set a goal for yourself,
Yeah,
you won't attain it,
exactly.
So it's like back in the day when my mom's like, just say no to drugs. And it's like, you need to don't leave I don't know if I'll say no or not no.
Yeah.
Like her thing was like, you're saying no. Like, make up your mind now so that when you're in the peer pressure situation, when all, that sort of thing happens,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, you're not trying to decide then. You've already decided, I am not doing drugs. That's my life decision.
Yeah.
So when the opportunity comes up, it's an easy decision to make because it was made a long time ago.
Yep.
I kind of feel that way about these elk. It's like, well, here's my top 5.
Yep.
I've made up my decision. That's kind of what I'm going for the first 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going for anything else. Because if I don't make that decision now, when those other bulls come in, I'll shoot them. And that wouldn't be the worst, but it's not the challenge I'm setting for myself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some people will get it. Some people won't. But
they
don't matter.
It all depends. Some of that, I think, just depends on your experience level.
100%.
That one of the reasons why a 350 bull, a 340 bull would be pretty sweet is because I've never shot one.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But
I have a tag where I could shoot a 400.
It all goes back
It's possible.
to the area. There are some areas when I'm hunting mule deer that I'm like, dude, if I see a 170 buck, like it's going down. There are other areas where I'm like, if I don't see a 190 buck, like I'm not shooting it.
Yeah.
Because I know the area is conducive to big deer or whatever. Now, a 190 buck is a freaking stud. But you're in the same situation, There are a lot of bulls in this area that are that 330 to 350 range.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, and I don't want to miss out on the experience.
Right.
That could possibly happen in week 3 or week 4 of the hunt.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss out on that just to play it safe.
And again, having the ability to spend all 30 days of the season hunting.
My wife might leave me, but I mean, nah, she's good.
Mine too, especially if I'm filming.
That's right.
That's right. We're blessed to be able to do that. And
what's cool too is we both got more tags. So when this hunt's over, it ends mid-September, whether I like it or not.
Yep.
We still have another month of elk hunting ahead of us.
Yes, sir.
And I have not had an elk tag in like 3 years, like a real honest, solid elk tag. And I got a second tag I got 2 tags. And before that, I had 2 tags. I killed 2 bulls. When I had 2 good tags, I killed 2 good bulls in the same season. And then I didn't get a tag for like 3 years. And now we're back. And I got 2 good tags.
Yep.
And so did you. So one way or another, the season ends mid-September, and we're gonna grind it out. This is our archery elk hunting year.
Yes,
it's been a minute, and should come away. I'm looking forward to it. I am in it for the long haul. One way or another, this is how I think about it. One way or another, it's going to be done around mid-October.
Yeah.
And whatever success we've got between now and then is just dependent on life and how it turns out. But it's going to be fun.
Yep. Just make the most of what we know. And I think sticking to the plan that we have laid out, at least for the first part of it, is going to be key.
If the scouting early season game plan does not pan out, that's fine. Yep. Now we fall back on all the stuff that we're good at, that we already know how to do, and all the stuff that we execute on.
Like I said before, super fortunate that this season, or this unit, this tag kind of has 2 seasons to it.
Yeah.
And, I think that'll play to our advantage. Hopefully get it done early, but if not, we go do the cool screaming bulls on the ground.
That's right.
Spot and stock. So,
well, I hope you guys found that somewhat useful and interesting. We just wanted to kind of share where we're at and our strategy and what's going on. Got any questions? Leave them for us in the comment section of the YouTube videos or wherever we post the video. And we'll try to get back to you there. But thanks for tuning in, folks.
Yep.
Stay gritty.